ladies and gentlemen, to Wild Rift Icons. Mika Fans here, and you just caught me chilling backstage with some random person. It's Random from Rigs GG. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. I mean, coming from that series, it can't have been easy, especially with all of these last-minute adjustments you guys had to do with the situation with Snitch. Can you talk us through how the team was able to work around this very last minute?
So we just kept our plan clear, like Snitch, even if he's from his hotel room, still we prepared a lot for it, so we just said, okay, it's fine. We concentrate everything, our mind is clear, and we just went into the series confident as usual.
And what adjustment are you guys going into your next game? Of course, the long bit up ahead play-ins.
I think that we played early games really well across the series, and just some misplays and unfortunate events, let's say, that came later on. But I'm sure we'll be able to fix it and win the next series for sure.
Well, you guys will have, of course, lots of chances up ahead. Now, what do you think is unique about the Wild Rift EU region that audiences can expect to see here at Icons?
I think we're really good into putting our own pace into the game. We really want to not lose a second and really, play our own style no matter what, not let the enemies take over, for sure.
Nothing gets to you guys.
Exactly.
You guys know your style, and you're going to push it through all the way here at Wild Rift Icons.
Yep.
Random, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us, and good luck in the rest of your games.
Thank you very much.
All right, Kangas, back over to you guys.
Thank you, Mika. Thank you, Random, for coming in and chatting with us. I know it's tough after a loss to come on and chat, but I'm sure that all the fans appreciated hearing from the player, rough position that they're put in. But now we have one final series for the day. Our final matchup, Vivo Keed's second seed from the WBR start off their Icons with potentially the hardest team in their group, J-Team from the WRL. So a win here would ignite all of Brazil and probably ensure that they get out of play-ins, honestly. If they can beat China, they can beat anyone.
Oh, baby, this is the team. This is Vivo Keed. These are the guys. Like, they ended up 4th place in group stage, Kangas, but they nearly took it all on the Wild Tour. Like, they nearly won the entire thing. They only lost 3-4 against Omega, and, like, they are the underdog, but I still believe, like, they are better. I feel like they are better. They have a reputation of winning against the better teams as well. Like, they're so incredible. It just feels like they're perhaps a bit inconsistent, but they're so good.
So what should we expect from them, Riku?
Oh, for sure, Mena there. The best support coming from Brazil. Excited to see him engage for the team, do sneaky Rakan plays from the back, from the Dragon's Pit, and it's just going to be very, very explosive, especially with the correct follow-up.
He's got a lot of unique engage angles. I think that's kind of like the reputation he's setting for himself right now. But opposite of the Rift, let's talk about J-Team. Now, they're owned by the king of Chinese pop music, but do they have what it takes to become kings of the Rift?
And it's indeed the opposite. And the reason is because J-Team, on the other hand, they finished 1st in the group stage instead of last, but they ended up 5th in the playoffs. So, but only the top 4 made it. They ended up making it because, oh my god, couldn't attend due to complications. So you see how, like, Vivo Keed was bad in the beginning and they ended up nearly as 1st. And then J-Team was like the 1st in the beginning, but they ended up as 5th at the end.
Yeah, and Rico, part of that what we were kind of identifying with them, just struggle to adapt to the meta.
Yeah, I think that was definitely the struggle on why they couldn't, what do you call this? They started off really well, but couldn't adapt after the tournament, progressed at the WRL.
Exactly. So when we think about play style for J-Team then, they are the lowest seeded of the WRL regions. I know the two of you are very hype on Vivo Keed, so if we look at this team, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses?
Okay, because I feel like this series is going to be a support matchup, definitely. Okay. There's going to be varying play styles when it comes to that role. So we talked about Mena having to engage for the team, but at the same time, you've got DY over from J-Team that can set up plays for himself. He's literally the definition of a support carry.
So. Yeah, they go for crazy plays.
Exactly. Look at this big level 1 coming from DY, right? Just not being able to kill you, but burning all summoner spells, literally just level 1. And here is the outplay that we're talking about. DY here's on the Gragas, actually goes in, but then they decide to go back in as well. But at the same time, it's just really... Actually, this was the play I was talking about. No. This is it. FPX going in, but look at this. J-Team was not supposed to win this, and yet the double kill coming from DY with the cast in the tower. Beautiful.
And hell, as part of kind of the way that we expect this series to go, when we look at the strengths and the play styles of both of these teams, right? It's this more standard team fighting coming in from the Brazilian representatives, as opposed to J-Team, who will team fight you, but they'll do it in like a weird, chaotic way.
Well, you have to adapt, right? Like Vivo Kid has to adapt to J-Team right here, and you know, one weakness that I have seen with them is they tend to stick with the APCs, even in an ADC, in a heavy ADC meta. So I don't want to see them do that. So let's see how they do up against J-Team then.
Let's hear our predictions here.
Yeah.
Let's cover them real quick because I'm hearing we're getting ready to hop into the game. I want to see if the two of you have faith. Hells has faith in Vivo Kid. All right, Riku. I think we're both taking the more respected approach here, assuming WRL wins. But Hells, defend yourself. I'm gonna give you 10 seconds.
They're gonna win.
That's it.
That's it.
That's all
I
you
don't need
need.
to defend myself. They're gonna win. You'll see what they do.
All right.
That's
Hells,
it.
of course, farming the Brazilian impressions. I'm sure your Twitter account is going up exponentially.
I've
With that
seen
said,
them play,
though,
Kangas.
we're getting ready for game number 1 of final series of day 1 of Icons. Rafa Stewart, take it away.
Oh, he said the thing, Stuart. He said take it away. So I'm going to take it. It's not on camera, so it doesn't work as well. But Kangas knows what I'm talking about. With Hells, though, I'm actually with him on this one. I believe in Vivo Kid because when you think about the strength of J-Team, at least before this tournament, going into Icons, same with Vivo Kid, this is the one matchup that Brazil's potentially strongest team could look to be upsetting.
Yeah, that's the big thing. But we were talking about this a bit off stream. This Ashe pick has been such a big pick for Vivo Kids. It's been really, really weird. They've been playing this Blitzcrank bot lane as well with this Ashe pick, and it's a pick that they played a lot during the Brazilian Wild Tour. So J-Team are like, you know what, even though it's not really maybe that strong of a pick, it's just something we just want to take away.
The utility of the Ashe pick, the fact that you can engage from so far away. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see it, but you know, Vivo Key played it to great success. Obviously, J-Team respected enough that they don't want it being left on the table, but so far, some of the rest of the standard bans coming through, Yumi, Karma, Senna, once again, and a Ziggs takeaway from Vivo Key.
Ziggs taken away, Yumi taken away as well. As two bot laners pretty much over to the side of J-Team. They're just like, no, Viva Kid, I don't want to deal with it. There's a Lucian ban as well. So Jace is up and available. We've seen it been prioritized quite a bit as well. Kha'Zix is up and available. So have to see what J-Team decide to pick first.
If Jace was locked in for Dawn, it would be his first pick as well. Oh, wow. Well, now, we don't know where this Jace is going specifically because it could be for Pan. He has actually put in far more games over Dawn because Dawn has not been putting, or at least didn't play any Jace throughout the WRL.
Yep, so this could potentially be mid lane. We did see Baron lane Jace for the WRL, but this Rakan, I want to talk about this Rakan for Maynard. This is a huge pick for Maynard. This is pretty much the main engage source for Vivo Kids.
And for Vivo Kid, this pick has so much meaning. It has so much story and narrative behind it. When you go back to the lower finals that allowed Vivo Kid to advance to the grand finals playing against Omega, when they were against Liberty, it was a full 5-game series. In Game 5, Mana finds a late game flank, knocking up and synergizing with Katrina, who was playing the Yasuo, to win that match and allowed them to at least get top 2 in their region here. And Mana going back to Comfort, going back to a pick that he made a name on as the #1 support rated on the All-Pro team for the Wild Tour in Brazil. He's bringing it back once again.
Nice little accent there as well, I saw that.
You gotta give shout-outs to the Brazil region. Much love, man.
Oh, the Wukong being picked up with the Lee Sin as well. Now, the interesting thing about Cherry is that he's prioritized a lot of Kha'Zix, Jax, and Olaf, but he always just falls back on the Lee Sin. So he wants to play more aggressive style, maybe with this Jace as well, which potentially could mean that the Wukong is going to go up into the Baron lane. So this is a very heavy AD Bruiser style top side of the map.
A lot of physical damage. Now, Vivo Key, if they wanted to get crazy, I'm just checking here. I don't think they've played any Rammus so far, you know. If we want to get super wild, there's a lot of physical damage already. Obviously, if you lock in the Rammus and then boom, double slam AP, then you're feeling pretty not okay as Rammus. But Vivo Key with the Morgana, though, and that's a nice flex pick, could go into the Dragon Lane for Slash.
Yeah, could go in the Dragon Lane, could also go into the mid lane as well. Katrina has played it once this year in the Wild Tour, so it could be a little bit of a flex pick. There was a few changes to Morgana recently as well. A few buffs, surprisingly, even though it was quite a popular pick. The root duration got increased. and there was the second ability that got buffed in terms of jungle damage, so could potentially go in the jungle as well as
Minion damage too.
yeah, minion damage and everything as well. Yeah, so going to the second side, you can see Vivo Key banning out the Lux and also the Varus, and we'll see what J-Team does last with that Corki.
Vivo Kid already taking away long-range damage away from J because they know that the 3 cores of these melee champions have to go in. They cannot poke from a long range distance outside of Jace whenever he has Accelerated Shock Blast, but it doesn't have the uptime as things like a Piercing Arrow from Varus or a Light Binding from Lux.
Yeah, so you need some sort of backline sort of damage, but at the same time, it has to be I feel like a mobile one, because like you said, because J-Team are just all going to go in, which means that your backline is going to be very isolated. Exactly, very exposed to the rest of Vivo Key.
And tell me, Stuart, do you want to be exposed to a giant bug from space?
No, I do not. And that's a lover like Rakan as well.
Yeah, that's a lot of engaged tools, and Vivo Kid doubling down with the Jarvan. That is something that Odysseus has run a few times as well.
He has played twice in the World Tour up in the Baron lane, so it's going to go back to that. And all of it, oh! That was fast.
Okay, well, J-Team with the 180, they have triple bruisers all on the top side of the map, but now they have answered back with a late game hyper carry marksman and an enchanter behind it as well. There's not much protection for this Vayne, but within the lethal tempo era that we are now in, Stuart, I know you have had first taste of it. Vayne is insane if you get to the late game.
Yeah, Vayne with lethal tempo is huge because her second ability, every single time auto attack 3 times, you get that true damage. With lethal tempo, when you keep on attacking champions, you get that max 6 stacks, you get that huge burst of attack speed. With a Lulu by the side as well, it's going to be big.
She's a machine gun at that point.
Yeah.
And a machine gun of percent max health true damage. I mean, tell me, how is Vivo keyed? If you don't lock her down, how do you prevent her from just going out of control? And thankfully for them, they have Arm Con. They have a point-and-click stun from the gold card for Katrina, locked in on this Twisted Fate, and if you combo that with a finding, it is lights out for this Vayne. But it's common that CC that key for Vivo key here.
We talked about the side of J-Team, how their top map really just engage and go in, but at the same time you need to protect this Vayne as well, so you can work as like pretty much a meat for this Vayne, especially with the Lulu on the back line as well, so they can try and protect this Vayne. The problem I would see with the J-Team lineup with their the champions they picked is they're pretty much all AD, which could be a little bit problem. They don't have any source of AP damage. Now Vayne does deal true damage, so that can definitely help out, but you see Jace, Lee Sin, Wukong and Vayne all do AD damage, so I'm looking for like Maynard and also Odysseus as well to build some armor, especially items like Death Stance.
Yeah, because Barry is not going to be putting out a bunch of burst physical damage anytime soon. So if you're able to prioritize some defensive stats, if Evil Key find the advantage on their side, because then it becomes much harder for J-Team to even fight back in the mid game. Now, going back to what we expect for J-Team, how they want to play this game. You already mentioned before, very strong top side of the map, this Jace Lee Sin, a deadly combo that we saw Rix get to a little bit of an early advantage, not able to snowball completely well. J-Team, they have the potential to leverage that advantage this time.
Yeah, so the top side of that might be a little bit of stalemate, but like I said, I think it's all that focus on that mid lane, trying to get that Jace ahead against Twisted Fate. Because Twisted Fate can't really do too much, you know, not really a mobile champion or anything. He's going to throw out cards, try and do his best to clear the wave. This top is pretty much just going to be just a back and forth fight, but I'm just really looking forward to tempo. It's the first time we see tempo icons. the first competitive game.
The resident marksman caster has been dying to see marksman played at full potential, and it's been a little bit of a disservice to his pleasure when he sees Lucan and Corey being played with Hullbreaker. But hold up, J-Team, this is exactly what we called for. Use the power of Lee Sin and Jace early to push Vivo Keyed around. But they are being very defensive. They go back in for the reinforcements, but Mayna tries to lock down Cherry, but it's not enough. J-Team strikes first with first blood.
And J-Team is the aggressive team to start off with. We know that Vivo Keyed is a little bit of a slower team. They don't really like to make these early game plays, and Maynard tried to dash in, tried to get a pick off onto Cherry, but unfortunately for him, he just died instantly. He just gone. He just dashed in. It was like, I'm kind of tanky. No, I'm not. I'm just dead.
You can see that Vivo Keyed a little bit overconfident or a little over-ego to look for the punish on the J team because they got out safely. They didn't have to go back in, but that was a moment where Mena wanted to push his limits, wanted to, you know, limit test and see if they could pull off that kill. Unfortunately, when you're going up against Lee Sin and Jace, you just have to respect the early game damage.
Yeah, the early game is just way too strong on the side of Cherry and Pan. As Maina's looking to go in as well. The Dark Binding!
Beautiful CC combo. The knockup from Mena right into the Dark Binding from Slash is going to force Barry down low, but the shields from DY allow Barry to escape.
Yeah, I believe that is also exhaust going down as well from Barry, so he might lose a few minions though. On the bot side of the map, you can see that they're pushing in now. Slash and Mena are both pushing in, so nothing really that they can do at the moment with that advantage. Obviously, it's still being early on in the game. They can't really get power plates or anything, especially as a Morgana as well. But nice play by Mena. You know, he's trying to, you know, this is the Mena that we know. You know, this is the Mena that likes to play aggressive at times, likes to try and get them picks, and there's no change as well coming into Worlds.
Yeah, Mena is going to put his whole heart out onto the Rift. He is ensuring that he is not going to be playing with fear in his heart. He is looking to always go forward. If that costs the game, you know, it's a learning experience, and I think that is something that, you know, Brazil, as one of the unexpected powerhouses of the West, are looking to push their moments, and they are going for this dive. It's a 3-on-2, or a 3-on-1 right now. Dawn just completely overwhelmed. Pan coming in evens out the odds. Odysseus will go down in the efforts, but Vivo Keed, a great proactive move.
Brilliant play by Vivo Keed, using that top side pressure from the Jarvan. And interesting enough, the Jarvan has Summon Area as well in that Baron lane. This is a little bit of a throwback to a few months ago, where Summon Area Jarvan was a very strong pick, maxing the first ability, using that poke, and that allowed him to push the wave as well. When you max the first ability, you can push the wave, and I used that to try and get a tower dive, but unfortunately it was just a 1-for-1 trade.
Maybe not as clean as Vivo Keed would have preferred, but Dawn does go down in the end, and the kill was fed into Lord's Kha'Zix, and we have seen Kha'Zix been such a powerful pick in this tournament already. You get to the mid game, and this bug is going to go absolutely off. Nuskblade completed. We're not at the first objective quite yet. Still 35 seconds left to go, which now leaves Vivo Keed and J Team some time to get in these resets and set up the first rotation for the objectives.
It's going to be interesting to see what both teams actually go for. Do you prioritize the Rift Herald, which I seem like is something that the teams are prioritizing more at the moment, going towards the Rift Herald, trying to get that game advantage. But 15 seconds till the Dragon, you can see that most of the players are going to go back to base. They're going to be able to pick up their first items, which pretty much everyone has completed across the board. But Maina's back in a little bit too late, and it looks like J-Team are going to have priority over that Dragon. They're actually going to prioritize it, especially as an Infernal Dragon as well. Will give Vayne a lot more power, or they could just be looking towards the bot lane tower.
Taking time here. It looks like Cherry the only one that is on the Dragon, because they know that Vivo Keed are not making aggressive entrances into the pit. They're preferring the Rift Herald. They want to go for the extra turret gold, looking for first brick. But you already see the adaptation from J-Team. They're not investing all their players right onto the Dragon, because they want to make sure that they don't lose out on the first brick race here, which means that Odysseus and Mena have to do everything they can to neutralize the advancement.
Yeah, they're trying to stop the bot side of the map for being taken down, that first tower being taken down. You can see the Lord is now moving on to top side of the map as well. Rift Herald, he does use a Rift Herald as well. Dragon does go over to the side of J-Team, but what can they do with it?
And look at this, Dawn proactively forcing Vivo Keed away from the turret. He uses the Cyclone, and now Katrina has to advance forward so they can look for first brick, but already Dawn goes down. Pan is here to defend the turret from going down, and now J-Team have an opportunity to look for first on the flip side.
It's a 2-1 trade over a war. There's fights happening top, there's fights happening bot, but I think the main thing to notice is that Vivo Keed couldn't get that first tower with that Rift Herald, and J-Team come out on top with that Infernal Dragon, and you're going to be getting that scaling AD that Vayne loves, the rest of this team loves as well.
And you have to think and consider, what is the payoff for a Rift Herald versus getting the first Dragon? It's usually you get the first brick and an influx of immediate gold.
Yep.
The fact that J-Team played so well, knowing that advantage that Vivo Keed were looking for, neutralizing the first brick from being taken, and also giving their Vayne that gold from the plates on the bottom side of the map, just goes to show how well prepared J-Team are going against Vivo Keed.
Yeah, Dawn did really well to defend the top side of the map, the tower dive as well, and also Lord was there to help protect him, and you can see there's a bit of a trade, but Dawn's actually going to be the one that's just going to take the first tower of the game. That
is just absolutely incredible. I mean, J-Team, this is the 5th seed from China technically, since OMG couldn't make it due to complications. But J-Team are stepping up to the plate, and they're representing China well on the international stage, just in the macro play alone.
You can see that China, even if it is their 5th seed, you can see how strong they are as a region coming into Icons. And now they're just going to look to take the top side tower as well. And this is a J-Team that focused that Dragon early on to go for the more scaling in terms of mid and late game. Like, okay, you can take the Rift Herald for the early advantage, but Vivo Kid weren't able to take that advantage at all.
J-Team just understanding how to pull apart Vivo Kid's resources so that they couldn't overwhelm for free on the Baron side of the map for that guaranteed gold influx advantage. Because look at this, 4 kills to 2. Yeah, it's not an entirely game, but it's 5,000 gold ahead for J-Team just off of the macro play alone.
Yeah, just off the towers, you can see the mid lane as well. The mid lane's over 1,000 gold ahead. Same with the bot lane as well. You can see that Berry is 1,000+ gold ahead of Slash. And if you're a Vayne, you're really happy with that. You know, you're ahead on the Vayne at 8 minutes into the game. You're nowhere near really the late game or even the mid game at all. Nearly has 2 items though.
And that is just terrifying for Vivo Kid right now. The fact that they did not find any advantages to put the Vayne down or prevent her from being able to snowball. Yes, Barry hasn't participated in kills, but she's about to hit 2 items just under 9 minutes in the game. And already with the lethal temple changes, you have the Lulu behind you as well to give you the extra attack speed. This is an on-hit focused build. I mean, it is so difficult for Vivo Kid to actually isolate and take out Barry.
You do have some sort of crowd, you know, little bits of crowd control here and there for Vivo Key, but I think even with that crowd control as well, the Vayne's just going to get so far ahead. Nearly has the most gold in the entire game right now, with Pan getting a little bit further ahead. Even goes Proto Belt on Vayne as well to dodge, you know, the likes of knock up from Rakan, the bindings as well. So an interesting pick. Normally you see status just in case a Vayne does get caught out, but Maynard's looking to be aggressive.
Almost a screen away. He locks down Pan, forcing both summoner spells out. That is going to be now a Jace without summoner spells going into the next fight of the game, which is could be around this Rift Herald.
Yeah, the Rift Herald, you see the J-Team are so aggressive. They're trying to get control of the entire top side of this map. There is a ward there, but it's 4 members over to the side of J-Team on this top side of the map. Meanwhile, Odysseus is on the bot side trying to get a tower, but they've just got full control of this Rift Herald.
Yeah, Vivo Key cannot invest all the resources into contesting the Rift Herald at the moment. And the fact that J-Team, we just go back to the 5-minute mark where J-Team made that original trade, Dragon for Rift Herald instead, preventing the first Rift from even going down. Now they're the ones with the Rift Herald on their side, and I just imagine that this is going to lead even more control away from Vivo Key.
I'm not too sure if Cherry actually realized, but I think he actually saw Slash go back to base. And as soon as he saw Slash go back to base, he was like, now's the time to use a Rift Herald. I'm not too sure if he actually got vision or not onto Slash, so I don't know if that was just lucky timing or he actually planned that. But being able to just time that Rift Herald perfectly, knowing that the main wave clear of Vivo Kid has gone back to base, means they can break that mid lane tower.
I mean, the game awareness from J-Team is just absolutely incredible already. They're just knowing where Vivo Kid want to go and allocating just the sufficient amount of resources to deal with and neutralize any advantages that Vivo Kid would have gotten. Now, right now, they're looking for a death rush here. Mana for the trap. 4 members right on top. Dawn suspects it, though, and it's the turnaround, the 4-man Cyclone. And now the rest of J-Team, can they advance forward? Mana's critically low, gets out alive. Same with Slash, but it's J-Team that is able to just absolutely dissuade Vivo Kid from pulling off the ambush.
Barry even uses a Proto Belt forward as well. The confidence of this J-Team roster is so huge. The engaged by Dawn, the 4, I think it was even a 5-man Cyclone at the start as well. Just being able to knock up all the members of Vivo Key, and there's to follow up afterwards. There's Lee Sin, is the acceleration gate with the shock blast as well from Jace. And Barry's just in the back line having a free day.
And that ambush play from Vivo Kid, it looked so good. It was something that at least we haven't seen, but J-Team with deductive calculations had probably seen Vivo Kid on vision going from the river, and if all 5 members suddenly just disappear from Fog of War, you don't see them for a while,
Something's fishy.
Put on your thinking cap on and think, oh, where could they possibly be? Which is why, strategically, Dawn is the first one to enter. Using his clone, gets vision while invisible, and it's like, okay, all 5 are here, I'm going to knock them all up.
Yep, that was perfectly well played by Dawn, and you can see that now, I mean, it's... I hate to say it, but it's going to be a little bit of a struggle for Vivo Kid right now. You know, Berry is 1-0-2, hasn't had, you know, the best of games, to be fair. I mean, he's just been farming up, but that's a Vayne. That's a late game Vayne for you, you know. As long as you farm up, as long as you get 3 or 4 items, you're going to be able to get a 3rd item probably very, very sooner. And again, it's the aggression from JT. They're just dominating even Vivo Kid's side of the map. But no, Vivo Kid are just too worried to even face check.
You know, the credit that you can give the Vivo Kid is that they have not given up too many deaths towards the advances from J-Team. But J-Team have just been able to take that in full stride and say, okay, well, if you're not going to fight us or you're not going to fully contest us here, we're going to continue taking more and more resources off of the map. And that has allowed them to just balloon this goal lead to now 6,000.
And I remember watching Vivo Kid as well on the World Tour. This is kind of how they play sometimes. They just give the other team advantages, they just play passive, and then when it comes to the team fights, this is where Vivo Kid can really come online. But the problem is right now, is that yes, you want to play defensive, yes, you want to go for the team fights, but you're against champions like a Vayne and a Jace and even a Wukong, and then I feel like Vivo Kid don't even win the team fights, even though this is a very team fight focused team that likes to play passive and kind of give away pressure towards the side of J-Team in this situation. They're losing time, Rafa.
Vivo Kid slowly losing control of the map, and J-Team, even though it is not the bloodiest game out of China so far today, it is definitely one that is still felt in terms of a stranglehold and a chokehold. Vivo Kid looking for a play though on Odysseus and Mena, almost looking for the pick onto Cherry. But he's immobile, Lee Sin. Barry already using the flash, gets out of harm's way barely before the gold card was able to connect. Vivo Kid not able to find that pick, and J-Team still maintaining position over the Dragon.
That polymorph by DY there onto Mena on the Rakan just stopped that whole engage. It was a perfect polymorph over to the side of DY. He's played it 7 times already this year, and he's able to pick that one off really well. You know, timing that polymorph is sometimes so difficult because sometimes you put it on, you know, one of your champions, and sometimes it could kind of misplay it a little bit because it's not a point and click, it's a skill shot now. So really hard to do, but he did so well to stop Mena, and now again, aggression in top side.
And Vivo Kid just ceding control.
Yep.
They know that they don't have the correct team fight setup. The 2 proactive times that we've seen it was off of Katrina looking for a Destiny Port. They get vision of all members despite Vayne having the ability to go invisible with her ulti, Dawn being able to go invisible with his clone as well. Vivo Kid just not able to execute as well as they would like because yes, they have all the pieces locked down, but J-Team have valuable resources up. The summoner spells up, not necessarily a cleanse, which is what the biggest thing that I was concerned about for Vivo Kid. If Barry had a cleanse, then you can always get out of Dark Binding, you can always get out of Gold Card, but he doesn't even need it. The fact that it's a proto belt, as you already called out before, is just speaks volumes about J-Team's confidence in this game.
I totally agree with you, and I think with a Lulu by your side as well, even though sometimes you might get caught by a stun card or even a binding, Lulu's shields and everything, growth as well, and Vivo Kid's looking for another catch, is another death brush, but Cherry around the side.
Pan was forced to use the stasis here, but as you called it out, Cherry looking for an insect play, potentially flanking Vivo Kid from the left side. Katrina forced to use Destiny to get eyes on top of every single member of J-Team, but it's not enough for Vivo Kid to find an angle back on to J-Team. They still maintain their position, and the 3rd Dragon coming up in 15 seconds.
J-Team already have 2 Dragons. They took that 2nd Rift Herald as well, which allowed them to take the mid lane tower, but for Vivo Kid, I mean, this is what we know about them. You know, some people might be like, oh, you know, they're playing way too passive, there's not really much they can do, but this is what we know so much about them, Rafa.
Vivo Kid, the time for you to explode in these team fights has arrived. I'm looking at my watch here, looking at the clock,
All eyes on Mena.
Mena, can you do it? Flash heal available. He has the movement speed, he has the gap closing ability to lock down the main target, which will be Barry on this Vayne, but they've whittled down the Dragon, and Vivo Kid just cannot brute force their way through.
Again, they're trying to get an advantage in the top side of the map. They do take down a tower. But again, it's just passive. I mean, it's just Vivo Kid, I guess, knowing that they're so far behind and not just giving any away like any silly kills. But look at Mena now, might be trying to catch up Cherry, but that's what Lee Sin could do. He doesn't need a ward in Wild Rift. He can just dash away just like
That's why I love playing him so much, man. The fact that Safeguard is just a free form dash. I mean,
it's pretty broken.
Yeah. I mean, I've said it from the beginning, on the inception of Wild Rift, that Lee Sin was one of the best champions in the game, and they've given him a lot of nerfs. He still can be played as an S-tier jungler, but for J-Team, 3 dragons to their name, which means the last one for the Elder will be a Cloud. J-Team maintaining complete control of the top side of the map here. Vivo Keyed, super difficult for them to enter. Mena trying to poke his head forward, but he's the one that is getting poked out here, and it's just J-Team maintaining that chokehold.
Yeah, just getting vision control again in that top side of the map. You know, the thing is that Vivo Keyed has to use their abilities, and you know, they have abilities to face check bushes. They have the likes of the flag from the Jarvan that can give you vision, the spikes as well that can show something in there, but again, Vivo Keyed giving them pressure, but J-Team at the same time, they're not risking anything. They're not going for a crazy Baron play because they know that if they go for this Baron play, if they lose it, then they could still potentially lose this game. You can see that TF uses the ultimate there just to get a little bit of vision.
Yeah, because you're so scared if you're Vivo Keyed, if they're starting up Baron. They have no eyes on it, and oh my god!
Wow.
Barry was ready to just run down Katrina and Slash. Both of them forced to use their flash away.
Barry's just by himself. He just tumbled forward, used his ultimate, and then 2 flashes had to be burned there by Slash and Katrina, which is not a good sign. You can see that Vivo Keyed are just so worried to go in, but now J-Team will go back. This is where Vivo Keyed can look to maybe take that vision control around the Baron. Elder Dragon hasn't spawned just yet, but as you said earlier, you know, J-Team have 3 dragons. If they get that Elder Dragon, that's a 4 buff Elder Dragon on the side of J-Team. And even though Vivo Keyed, they've been playing passive this whole time, they're trying to get a few items, you have to fight for that Elder Dragon.
Comes down to the flip, and Vivo Keyed. Normally, when you look back on the history of how Vivo Keyed got here to the first place to be the 2nd seed from the Wild Tour Brazil region, it was off of Mena looking for great flanks and crazy, conceptual-wise, engages. But the vision control from J-Team has been so oppressive that Vivo Keyed cannot even cross through the river, but this gold card into knockup combo, and Nadal might be the one that turns around, but he just turns it back with a 5-man Cyclone, and Katrina is now forced. Cherries was looking for the flank, but it's too late, because Cherry's the one on the backside, kicking Katrina right back into the waiting arms of J-Team. A quadra kill for Pan. Does he look for it? Icon's first ever pentakill, and it goes to Pan. J-Team representing WRL on the international stage.
And that's a prime game in Ace as well for J-Team, and they're going to finish the game.
Do you hear that sound, Stuart? Deafening silence. That is the power of China on the international stage. J-Team, it doesn't matter if they were the 5th seed coming in for OMG. They still dominate here at Icons.
China is just way too strong. Our first pentakill of Icons as well on the Jace, and they tried so hard to catch out Dawn, but the problem is you're trying to engage onto a Wukong. Wukong could just use the Cyclone, he could just dash away as well with his 2nd ability, and it was just that one little aggression play by Vivo Keyed, but it wasn't the team they were looking for.
I'm at a loss for words, Stuart. I'm not going to lie. It's only the first game of the series here between Vivo Keyed and J-Team, but that game 1 just speaks volumes about what we're going to expect here from WRL as a region overall in the tournament.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like you said, you know, even 5th seed as well coming out from China just shows how strong and how confident they are at the same time. And Vivo Keyed on the other side, they're going to have to try and go back to the drawing board now because they're going to have to try and take the 2nd game or they're going to lose the series. And that means we get 4 2-0s the entire day.
And this is our first glance of a Lethal Tempo marksman as well. We've been mostly seeing mages or some type of early game marksman like a Lucian or a Corki that can spike in the early or the mid game or have some type of utility as well. But the Vayne debut, you get to see the fact that if you don't stop the Vayne from scaling, I mean, it is going to be a terrifying threat later on. But for more on the game between Vivo Keyed and J-Team, we're going to throw it back to the analyst desk with Kangas, Riku, and Hells.
Thank you, Rafa. Thank you, Stuart. J-Team giving us a masterclass of what happens when you give the late game composition an early game lead. They hold on to it, and they do not let it up. And that's pretty much what we saw in that game, Riku.
I know, it was just incredibly scary, right? We saw the Vayne Lulu at the very last pick, and they're able to survive and basically get the scaling on the board. It's just so scary. J-Team is scary.
But the Vayne Lulu, we got it, Hells. We've been talking about that. Are we going to see that come out? Rico had the point that we said off cast. Hey, once Lucian's banned, it leaves the Vayne up. That's a big counter to her, so just lock it in.
I love the Vayne Lulu. It absolutely perfect fitted in advance because she built up with Ant against the Morgana and the Rakan and there was another AP champion which
Twisted
I
Fate.
Twisted Fate. These are all AP champions, heavy AP champions. With Ant, they do 0 damage. Then she also got a Guardian Angel. She got Phantom Dancer to survive herself, and of course the Lulu as well. So like unkillable, absolutely.
It's
unkillable.
impossible.
And you know what the beauty was? You know what's funny?
Yeah.
I have another
She's got
thing
more.
to say. Yeah, she went for Proto Belt. She didn't go for QSS. She went for Proto Belt. You need a QSS against the Twisted Fate and against the Morgana, you'd think.
No, maybe not.
He doesn't care. He goes for Proto Belt.
Maybe not if your name is Barry. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's just such a huge statement that they were able to basically utilize this. There were so many. I feel like when I look at VK's composition, they had so many answers for the Vayne, but we talked about the time window, the window of the early game to mid game, because when I look back at the Horizon Cup, it is Twisted Fate paired with a jungler. That means you can Twisted Fate early, Destiny early, and then kill the enemy jungler in their own enemy territory.
And something that I love, and Hells, I'd love for you to break down even as well, as we start to see what happens in the team fights here. From this point forward, you're just going to see a lot of J-Team winning fights. But what happened in the replay before that, the early kill for J-Team came because they identified, look, Morgana cannot wave clear at the very early levels. Rakan doesn't help much either. Shove in that wave as the Vayne just hard-hitting minions, invade on the Kha'Zix, who cannot deal with the Lee Sin, and then go for that kill early. J-Team understood the early window that they could make a play in the first minute and a half, and from that moment, Pan had Hullbreaker at 3 minutes. Like, you don't come back from that if you're VK.
That is crazy to me, right? Like 3 minutes? Hullbreaker at 4 minutes is
Hullbreaker
already
3
early.
minutes!
Yeah.
Right? Like that's already an early one, but you get it at 3 minutes? He even went to the Baron lane and started to push. How do you deal with that? You just don't deal with that. Like when a Jace has a Hullbreaker at 3 minutes into the game, no one can kill him. He's gonna push you under the third and he's gonna push the wave easily.
I'm pretty sure he had Demolish as well. So the way that they're farming towers and furthering their lead even more, just gathered a lot of gold and was ready for these advancing fights.
Yeah, and Katrina on that Twisted Fate, I really feel like it didn't work for him, right? Like the pick is supposed to kind of work into this competition because he can reveal Wukong during his clone. He can reveal Vayne during her ultimate, which is a very important thing, by the way, as Vayne was the main carry. But he just didn't use it properly. He was constantly like using desperate ultimates, trying to figure out where J-Team was. And sure, he has to do that sometimes, but that way you're never gonna win those team fights.
Yeah, honestly, J-Team is so smart to maneuver around like the late game Twisted Fate, because usually the Twisted Fate is hungry to utilize the Destiny when there are split pushers, when there's a 1-3-1. That's the time you can use that. J-Team, they never separated. They're always together.
Yeah.
Even if you Destiny, who's gonna be your target if everybody's compressed together?
Like, so we got a live audience reaction to see themselves on camera right there as we take a look at the gold graph and basically everything that happened in JT's favor. Now, I do want to say, even though it looked dire for VK
Yes.
for most of that game, we did see some bright spots. Hells, you in particular, we're looking at Lord, the jungler, coming in for VK. This Kha'Zix did put in some work.
Lord out-jungled the enemy. He completely out-jungled him, but we didn't see it because all of the other teammates, they got outplayed. Like from Keith right there, Lord was the only player winning in his respectful position. He was the guy that had the only 2 kills throughout the entire early and mid game, right? Like he did set up his team, but it just didn't work because in the late game, all of J-Team's players, they got a Guardian Angel. I believe there were like 3 Guardian Angels.
Yeah.
So
Literally the
it
entire
became
half.
absolutely impossible for Lord to do anything because Guardian Angel hard counters assassins like the Kha'Zix.
Yeah, and you could tell that even Lord had that amount of gold. There needed to be a way for him to get into these fights, and you could tell that Mena is trying his best to getting into the fight, starting the fight.
Wow.
Look at that gold graph.
Yeah, that's that's pretty extreme.
It's an ocean.
Not gonna lie.
There was an iceberg earlier, now it's an ocean.
Yeah, that is all blue, all J team. And again, you see that initial spike before 5 minutes, very, very early into the game. That's just that invade that they had in the jungle. They push mid with the Jace versus TF matchup. Pretty easy for him to get the shove.
And that's an important one because like that's not only a gold boost, not only an experience boost, that's also a morale boost. Like the morale, that's also like the little bump in morale boost. And that's what really makes teams, right, like keep going, because you can see, you know, right after that they made it super far. And interestingly, we thought Vayne was the main carry, but it's the Jace doing the most damage.
It's the 3-minute hull breaker Jace who got a pentakill at Icons. The first pentakill on day 1. Insane performance from Pan.
What is with today? We got our first quadra kill today, earlier, and now the first pentakill. It just keeps getting better.
It keeps getting better. I don't even think it's possible to get above a pentakill. So
You can. There is like a legendary kill.
Well,
I've never seen it.
Yeah,
but there is something
you can
better.
like get a pentakill, get the first kill, and then they spawn right after the pentakill, and you can kill them again.
So it is possible, but
It's unlikely.
I've never seen it.
I'm hearing that we do have a reaction though that we want to show from the pentakill itself. I don't know if this was us. I think this is behind the scenes. This is us.
Why am I cheering? Yeah, here I said.
Yeah,
why
you
am I
literally
cheering?
said that. Yeah, I was just trying to listen to the call. I was excited, but I was like, I want to hear Rafa. I want to hear Rafa right now.
It's calling pentakill.
Yeah, I remember that moment. Pentakill, yes, but why am I cheering?
Yeah, you thought Vivo Kid was going to win this one, which, again, they do still have a chance. It's a best of 3.
Yes.
So let's start thinking about it from their side. I actually want to take the approach for all the Brazil fans out there that are starting to sweat. Rico, I'm going to give this to you first. I also want to hear your thoughts on it. Let's look at the bright spots from Vivo Kid and think of their potentials to get back in the series.
Okay, honestly, they earlier in their bans in their draft, they banned Varus and Lucian, which are 2 big answers to the Vayne. So honestly, leave that open just in case they pick it again.
15 seconds. Hells, you're up.
Lord and Mena, these guys need to rotate together, get some ganks off, get all the lanes ahead, and then put Katrina on a different champion. Twisted Fate didn't work, and I think they can do it.
Play Yasuo! That's it.
Yeah, there was a Yasuo comp right there, but I'm looking back because I'm actually hearing right now VK, they're quite animated on stage. I don't think that their spirits are diminished at all from that last game. And again, a reminder, yes, it's the 5th seed from the WRL, but J-Team, they did still have a really close series against OMG in the lower bracket. They could have been that 4th seed, and they're still from the best region in the world when it comes to Wild Rift. So with that said, up 1-0 in the series. Let's see if J-Team can close it out or if VK got more in the tank. Rafa, Stewart, take it away.
Thank you, Kangas. And, I mean, he's true, Stewart. You can't sleep on J-Team because otherwise you'll just end up like Vivo Kid in Game 1, where it just completely overrun, lost control of almost the entire map, and just struggling to find a way back into the game. And J-Team never let them back in.
J-Team was getting all the deep vision on the side of Vivo Key. There wasn't anything that Vivo Key could really do about it, even though they are a passive team, we know that. But when a team like J-Team just group together and they just brute force into Vivo Key's side of the map, it's just so hard to deal with, and they were just trying to get that deep vision done.
The other thing, too, for them is that you know that Vivo Kid's main objective in the mid-game was to snowball with Katrina on the Twisted Fate, try to put gold and resources into Lord's cause as well. It was diffused every single time because that Vayne was never left by himself, and all the picks that they went for ended up going on Dawn, but Dawn is just so hard to lock down on the Kong.
Again, it kind of comes down to the early game as well, and the kind of Rift Herald Dragon trade that happened on the side of Vivo Key. You know, they tried to take that first Rift Herald, they tried to take that top side of the map in terms of the tower, but Dawn was able to defend it. And we were mentioning briefly as well, it's like, if you're Vivo Key and if you play against a Vayne, yes, you're a massive team, but you have to find some way to shut down the Vayne. If you leave the Vayne by herself, if you let her farm get a few items, she just becomes an unkillable late game beast, especially with the lethal tempo.
It was just a beautiful demonstration from J-Team about how to allocate their resources just to perfection. They knew who could go to Dragon. It was just Cherry soloing it down, not you know, trying to expedite the process any further. He could take his time because he knew that Vivo Kid were prioritizing the Rift Herald. They knew the play was to take first brick on the other side of the map, so they invested resources, making sure that Pan could rotate over, protect Dawn in case the dive went insanely well for Vivo Kid, and then that allowed Barry and DY to put a lot of pressure onto the Dragon side of the map and said, yo, Vivo Kid, if you don't do anything about us, we're going to get first brick before you even take down the Rift Herald. And so that put so many wrenches were thrown from J-Team against Vivo Kid, and I think the big key for them as they take blue side this time around is adaptation and thinking on their feet.
We have to see what Vivo Key do this time around. Are they going to prioritize something else instead? Are they not? We'll have to wait and find out. Looks like J-Team on the blue side, Vivo Key are on the red side for this next game. So Vivo Key, they need to come up with something, but you can see the players are all still in good spirit. I think they're all still smiling and everything as well. But again, the Ash ban. Again, and we talked about it previously as well. You know, the Ash is kind of the pocket for Vivo Key because they use the Ash ultimately Enchanted Crystal so well to get picks. And they tried to do last game as well with Defate and Jarvan, but unfortunately it didn't really work.
The global picks trying to snowball into easier executable isolations onto multiple targets. JT though gonna go for the Jace once again. Pan got pentakill. It was his third most picked champion across the entire year. Vivo Key not changing anything up though. Kha'Zix and Morgana back to back.
Interesting. So the bans are exactly the same. The first pick Jace is the same thing, but a little bit of adaptation from Vivo Key. They're going for Morgana instead of the Rakan. Now, if you're on the side of J Team, I would really like them to take away that Rakan because I think it's one of the main champions and one of the main playmakers for Maina. There has been situations before, and I do want to shout this out, that if Maina doesn't get this Rakan, there has been situations with Vivo Key where they've played Sona in the bot lane with Nasus, which could be a possibility as well, as they take Dawn as well back up to Wukong. This is going to be a Lee Sin pick here. It's just going to be the exact same draft for J-Team.
I mean, yeah, J-Team don't have to really change up anything. Don't fix what isn't broken, right? I mean, it is, the onus is on Vivo Key to be the ones that force the adaptation. And so far, Vivo Key are not necessarily really giving a reason to J-Team to say, you have to pick the Vayne right now. You have to pick the Lulu right now. I said, no, just go for the same strong three-man core, which was the Wukong, Lee Sin, and Jace.
That was the main three, and oh, there we go. We're going to be getting our first Singed of icons, and it has been banned a few times as well, but for Katrina on this Singe as well, has played it 4 times already this year, was one of his most played champions as well in the playoffs in the World Tour, so pick champion that he is very comfortable on, and especially with a Morgana by your side as well with a black shield, he could just run around and he'll be completely fine.
You are guaranteed an engage now with this combo because the black shield ensures that you won't get stopped by a Dragon's Rage kick, a Cyclone from Wukong, even Jace batting you away with the hammer. The black shield is going to prevent the CC, so you can always get in and look for a flip onto one key target. The other big thing that I want to point out from Vivo Key, they take away the Vayne from Barry as well.
Yeah, they take away the Vayne, they take away the Corki as well, so is Barry going to be picking up another ADC? Come on, give me a Xayah, give me a Tristana, come on. You've showed the Vayne, you showed that you can play the AD carries in the bot lane. I want to give it more. But for those who may be a little bit new to Wild Rift, you're probably thinking, you know, Singed? In Wild Rift, what is this? I've never seen
Singed
before. Yeah, and
too.
it's also mid lane Singed as well, which is the interesting part. The thing about Singed, you know, you've got so much wave, you've got so much roaming potential. Protobelt is a boots upgrade as well, so it means you just Protobelt forward, flip someone back, and he's just so hard to kill.
Team are round out their composition this time around, not with a marksman, but it's going to be a mage with the Orianna. And because of how well Galio can combo well with mages, either in the engage potential with Justice Punch into Shockwave, but it's also the fact that Orianna can be left by herself in the Dragon Lane so that Galio is enabled to roam around the map.
That's an interesting one. They're going to be playing Morgana Nami in the dual lane for the side of Vivo Key. You don't normally see Nami paired with mages in the bot lane because most of the time, you know, with the healings and also Nami's third ability, allowing the auto attacks to get enhanced. But it means they're just going for this pretty much all-out team fight comp. You know, you've got the Camille, you've got the Morgana, the Singe as well that can flip, and also Maina as well on this Nami.
Yeah, because I don't believe Wild Rift ever made the change where Nami's third ability would not only slow on auto attacks, but also on abilities. So I think that is specifically PC only. So, yeah, Mage plus Nami combo, not that common. But what this does, we already know that Morgana gives you a lot of pushing advantage thanks to the second ability. And if you have the sustain advantage as well, you can look to really try and push in this Orianna. I don't necessarily take Nami as the best roaming support because while she offers some CC and some power in skirting, she's very squishy as well. And she doesn't have a lot of resistances to combo with that. So if this fish gets speared by any of the members of J-Team while she's caught out in rotation trying to assist on the other side of the map, that's sushi for dinner right there.
That's a nice fish sushi for dinner.
And raw too. make a nigiri out of it. Just put it on a bed of rice.
Sounds nice, actually.
Want to get some sushi afterwards?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. Well, Vivo Kid and J-Team still got a series to play out, so we can't be leaving anytime soon. And I definitely don't want to be leaving anytime soon because after what J-Team demonstrated, I'll see if they can do it again or Vivo Kid can rise to the occasion.
Yeah, Vivo Key have to be the ones that have to try and do something different this time, and they're just going to get engaged already at level 1.
Level 1 exhaust already forced out. DY saying, yeah, you're a fish and you've got annoying poke, but I have all-in potential here, and it's already putting Vivo Kid on the back foot.
And Alistair spoke about this at the start of the series as well, about DY playing these aggressive duo bot lane supports, going in at level 1, going for these crazy plays, and he does the exact same thing again as well. And Galio is not really a pick that's quite popular. It was very popular before in competitive, but with all the recent changes that Galio got, you know, the taunt duration is now a little bit shorter, and also the time it gets to get that full duration of the taunt is now longer. So not a big priority in terms of competitive, but DY has played this pick 32 times this year, so it's definitely a champion that he's comfortable on.
Meanwhile, on the Baron side, Odysseus was forced to use both of their summoner spells, as Dawn was looking for the all-in thanks to the Ignite. Odysseus now slightly on the back foot, heals back up with Honey Fruit. But now, the way that the rotation set up from J-Team, Cherry pushing in with Pan, pushing into the top side of the map. Yes, Lord is able to get out alive, but now they have ceded total priority. Even DY is here, so there's 4 people that could collapse on the Baron side of the map now.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately for Odysseus, he was able to go back to base. He's not actually here right now, but DY just showed himself Baron lane as well, and he's just like, yeah, I'm just going to push this, and look, they're going to try and trap Odysseus as well inside. But then Nami's here as well.
Yeah, Mena is here at least for the 2v3. Not 2v4 quite yet, but now Pan having the first rotation coming on up. Lord and Katrina are responding. But they're pulling the trigger. 3-man bubble from Mena. Can stall out as much time as they can. Odysseus hook shotting over, trying to get as much distance as they possible. First blood goes over to Pan and J-Team once again, but Vivo Kid are able answer back. The adaptation has come through for Brazil.
2-for-1 trade over to Vivo Kid, and J-Team, they were playing this, you know, aggressive comp. They were trying to get a little bit of advantage in the Baron lane. They tried to get a little bit of a pick, but I really love the rotations, you know, Mena up into the Baron lane and Lord as well. It was absolutely beautiful. And now on the side of Vivo Kid, they're going to try and look to maybe use this into advantage. We take a look at our Coca-Cola pop-off. We're going to see this again. This 3-man bubble by Mena. Hopefully get it in nice slow motion. Oh, look at that. It's absolutely beautiful. And at J-Team, they have nowhere else to go, so they have to walk through the tower to try and escape. And I think Cherry in the end took 3 tower shots. Even a little thumb up emoji as well.
This is the all-pro support from Brazil, coming through strong in the opening main move from J-Team. A 4-man collapse attempt and dive onto Odysseus. Yes, Vivo Kid didn't rotate all 4 members at the same time, but Mena was the only person there to dissuade and neutralize most of the advancements. And J-Team, yes, they ended up getting first blood, but a 2-kill lead overall for Vivo Kid is more than happy now for this Brazilian squad.
They'll take it for sure. I mean, especially because it looked a little bit doomed and gloomed, really, for Odysseus being by himself up in the Baron lane. But now it's going to be interesting to see what Vivo Kid do, because it seems like they were trying to do this last game as well. They're trying to collapse and kind of take advantage on the mistakes and the overextension from J-Team. You know, Mena in the first game when the Rakan tried to go in and kind of go for the little bit of aggression when the J-Team are looking to try and make them over-aggressive tower
invading
dives.
In the bottom
exactly,
side of the map,
the
yeah.
invading as well, yeah. And they've done the exact same thing this game as well, but this time it actually pays off in their favor.
Due to their efforts, Katrina is able to complete a Raleig's Crystal Scepter at the same time as Pan with the Hullbreaker. So already, this Singed, it's a force you cannot disrespect, because if you ever get too close and you get flipped, and once in the poison, you're permanently slowed. Pan still has, actually doesn't have flash available, and he just goes down. Vivo Kid taking great advantage of this pick.
Beautiful. I mean, Katrina again on the Singe pick, you know, as you mentioned, there's nothing that really a Jace can do when he doesn't have flash. He only just had flash up and available now. It's actually on cooldown, which means that, like you said, you know, the flip means that you're just going to get slowed, and also the pull as well means that you can't really use any mobility abilities or anything like that, which means that Lord was able to move down to the bot side as well and get another kill, and that's 3 kills to 1 now over to the side of Vivo Kid, so a much better early game by them.
Vivo Kid coming online, Luden's Echo for Slash, Duskblade for Lord. They're in position to contest J-Team for the
Cherry?
Rift Herald. Cherry, a lot of burst damage on the backside, losing half his HP, forced to flash away from Slash as well.
Vivo are doing really well this game. They're doing really well at trying to see where the champions of J-Team are. They're going to try and go for this Rift Herald, but Maynard is here, does use the control ward as well, which means that they'll be able to see the Rift Herald. They're pushing out as well. Do they actually have vision of that Rift Herald that far out from that ward? Actually, I don't even know if they have vision of, but Lord's going to try and go in anyway. It's a tidal wave.
Yeah, it was difficult for Vivo Key to walk in, but now the tidal wave gives them access now. Dawn with the Cyclone knocking up 3 members onto the backside. DY following up the hero's entrance. Vivo Key are forced back. Dawn is traded back for Slash though, and Lord looking for stragglers off of the back end.
Cherry.
But Cherry from out of nowhere picking up Odysseus. Was a little too low on the back end of that one. Vivo Key find a 1 for 2. J-Team picking up the Rift Herald as well.
Yeah, J-Team pick up the Rift Herald in the end, but it was actually Vivo Key the ones that went for the engage this time as well. They're trying to get little advantages here and there, but unfortunately they weren't able to. And Cherry on this Lee Sin has been so strong. You know, he's over-aggressed a little bit too many times, but we're going to take a look back at this replay as well. It was originally the tidal wave and DY got completely isolated by himself. But look at the engage from Dawn here. You know, the Cyclone 3-man knock-up as well, and then you've got Galio on top of that. But Vivo Key, you know, they're fighting back. They're able to get little advantages here and there as well. Berry had to flash away as well. The Cherry on this backline. Just beautiful play by him being able to isolate Odysseus and get that nice quick kill.
For Vivo Key now, the next step forward is looking for a way to continue using the power of this Singed pick to continue feeding kills into Lord, because Singed can be a nuisance in these team fights. You can create the slow field, but he is not a 1v9 champion. He's not someone that just does an insane amount of damage unless J-Team just willingly continues following him through the poison trail. And most pro teams know, never chase the Singe.
No, never chase the Singe. That's the one thing I think, if, you know, for new players that are maybe coming into Wild Rift, if you see that Singed, and if you run towards him and there's a little poison trail behind, it's not something you want to be dealing with. Katrina might get a little bit caught here.
Well, 3-man might just be able to do it. You know, Katrina, you don't want to chase him, but if you just lock him down for long enough and you get the burst damage through, that is one way you deal with the Singe.
It's definitely one way you can deal with it. You know, make sure that Singe can't run around and be that nuisance that he loves to be. But again, Vivo Key, they didn't look to try and contest the Rift Herald, the Dragon, sorry. Instead, they tried to defend the mid lane tower, but I mean, the J-Team was able to pick up the Dragon, they're able to pick up the bot lane tower, and we can even look at Berry as well, trying to take that mid lane tower, and then he might even get it as well.
Not 478 HP, and you can see Barry was close to knocking it down, but Mena and Slash are here to defend. Oh, Odysseus has Hextech Ultimatum available, can't get in range though of Barry, and the Shockwave just a little too much of a threat. Vivo Key are not going to pull the trigger for the pick.
So now we're going to look and see if J-Team are going to be playing as aggressive and go for these more invade now, because they're not really at the same advantage as what they were in the last game. You know, it's a bit of a closer game. It means that J-Team have to try and look and see if they can get these little invades. But look at Vivo Key, look at Katrina Lord there, waiting for that perfect time.
Oh, Katrina with the adhesive doesn't quite land on the pan, so he's able to proto belt away. The flash guarantees that he gets out, and now you have Cherry as reinforcements looking to isolate members from Vivo Key. Lord gets picked off here. Katrina trying to flip away the opposing members of J-Team, forced to use the flash, gets out alive, but it's pressure seeded over to J-Team.
And that's the problem if you don't have that bot lane tower as well. It means that DY can even go through the enemy territory and be fine, but he could get caught out here though.
Okay, they don't have Lord here, but Odysseus looking for the turnaround. Mena and the tidal wave finds a 2-man knockup. Pan locked down here, eventually bites the dust from Vivo Key, but they trade back on to Slash, a 1-for-1, still favoring J-Team with the positional advantage.
Yeah, they might be trying to go to the back now. They are pinging towards that Rift Herald, which is up in 5 seconds. That's definitely the next objective that they're going to be looking for. But Vivo Key, they're down on the bot side at the moment, but the problem is that Rift Herald's up. You know, Cherry's going there straight away, and he's just going to be able to get a free Rift Herald because no one on Vivo Key can even get there in time.
It's on Vision. The control ward is there from Vivo Key, so they know that Cherry has started up the objective.
Moving up there.
Yeah, it's gonna be close. Cherry's got to be a little slow with it. Is gonna get off of the Rift Herald for now because he knows that if he want to necessarily flip and give the easy steal over to Lord. He jumps over the pit. Cherry's there with the smite, securing the Rift Herald for them, and Vivo Key don't necessarily get in position to look for this fight, but a huge kick on the Lord sends them back to the fountain. And the rest of Vivo Key, they're on the run. Cyclone is huge, and a nice two-man bubble from Mena dissuades any further action, but once again, Stewart, J-Team, finding themselves ahead and strangle-holding Vivo Key out of the game.
And just finding then little bits of plays that they can make. You know, it was Lord and Katrina that tried to go over the wall with the blast cone. I forgot the name there for a second. They tried to go over the wall with the blast cone. They tried to steal that Rift Herald, but they weren't able to get the Rift Herald, and that means that DY and Cherry can just shut down and lock down Lord on this Kha'Zix, and he couldn't jump away because there's just so much to do.
Yeah, he already committed the jump to get into the pit in the first place. And there's a pattern that we have seen with some of the more experienced teams coming in, a J-Team as a big example. As soon as they see members desperately looking to contest an objective or looking for a steal, and they've exhausted all of their main escape tools, there is no hesitation to immediately punish, to look for an all-in kill. And any time that Vivo Key is caught out of position when they don't have their front to back members set up for the team fight composition, it is so hard for them to actually coordinate well against J-Team.
And it's hard as well because I felt like, you know, Kha'Zix is kind of your main damage source, it seems like, for this comp as well. So Kha'Zix has been completely isolated. You can see the team. There's 3 members of the side of Vivo Key on top side of the map. And that means a team can just take the entire, nearly the entire base.
Thankfully for Vivo Key, they're gonna at least stop the Rift Herald from crashing. I thought at least, you know, for sure it wasn't going to take out the inhibitor turret, but the fact that they prevent the crash from happening means that J-Team don't actually get any use out of the Rift Herald. They took the second tier turret without even needing it, but the pressure and the threat of it taking out an inhibitor, or at least doing damage, forced Vivo Key to cede control of the Baron side of the map, which now allows J-Team to invest vision control all in the bottom quadrant. Look at how many control wards are littered in there.
And this is what they did as well in the regular season as well in the WRL. They were able to get this deep vision across, and they did it in last game. They did it this game as well. And this is just how confident J-Team are. If they get that deep vision, if they can get picks as well, which is what they're trying to get, and you can just see with how passive Vivo Key are playing as well. You can't really walk up at all because there's so many towers that have gone down. And with this dragon as well, it's going to be another dragon over to J-Team.
And look what Dawn is doing. He is preventing Odysseus from being able to leave this side of the map. J-Team secure the dragon, and he might be the next target here for DY. Justice Punch lands. Bubble is there, gets a knockup down. Odysseus is able to escape thanks to the hook shot. Shockwave was dodged out as well. He lives to tell another day, but for Vivo Key, once again, it is the story of J-Team just slowly bleeding out Vivo Key, and if there's no fight from Vivo Key, then J-Team are just slowly going to take this game.
Hey, just a little bit of deja vu. You can see again, J-Team are going to be on the top side of the map. They're going to get deep vision. They're going to take away the jungle camps as well. And Lord nearly face checks. Used to be a little bit careful, but you can see at the moment that there's just nothing really that Vivo Key can do at all. They can J-Team can get another tower up in the Baron lane, and there's just no source of engage. There's no source of aggression or anything like that, and J-Team can just take absolutely everything.
And they snowball the advantage to 10,000 gold. Vivo Key are very, very dangerously behind in terms of stats, in terms of item power overall. Oh no, the sales trying to escape with the hook shot, but the overwhelming aggression from J-Team, all collapsing immediately, no hesitation whatsoever. Themselves on a numbers advantage once again. There's no neutral objectives that they can immediately punish with, but Vivo Key, they're running out of options.
And again, that's in Vivo Key's side of the map as well. J-Team are getting picks and J-Team are getting kills on Vivo Key's side of the map. And it's just, Vivo, you have to be worried if you're them now, because everywhere you walk, there might be a member of J-Team there ready to pounce onto you.
We're approaching the 15-minute mark here. Stewart 9-5, but a 11,000 gold lead for J-Team is the looming elephant over Vivo Key's heads right now. For them, options are low in terms of how they want to engage, because even the squishiest target that they can look for, stasises are online, flashes are available. So the reliability of an execution executable play from Vivo Kid is very low.
Yeah, I mean, the only real engage we have is from Odysseus on the Camille. Other than that, you don't have that more engage unless Katrina tries to jump in, but we're in a tidal wave, and there's a few things for J-Team there. Nothing too major. The tidal wave is also down as well for Maynard. They're going to try and push up this mid lane as well, but again, if you're Vivo Kid, you really need to try and look for an engage, but as you mentioned, you know, with the statuses and also a Galio as well on the side of J-Team, it's so hard for Vivo Kid to even jump on. And Odysseus?
Odysseus has been splitting both in game 1 and in game 2, trying to look for tries to get gold back from the pockets of Kid, but it comes at a sacrifice, isolated from the support of the rest of the map, and Vivo Kid are not in a position to at least force the Baron immediately, because Baron is such a difficult objective to take down. One doesn't simply just start up the Baron. You have to make sure that J-Team have no way to respond.
And the thing is that J-Team are not taking that risk as well at the same time. You know, J-Team not going to take the Baron. You know, Vivo Kid, they don't have the vision or anything to even walk out of their own jungle at the moment, so they can't even get close to even try and get towards that Baron, even though Cherry's on the bot side, and they realize that. And Odysseus, you know, he's been split pushing the last game, and he's used to doing this as well. No, he split pushes quite a lot, but Dawn just goes in 1 versus 4.
Oh, well, Dawn would dodge down on the bubble, but he still has a GA here. Cyclone available, 3-man taunt. The rest of J-Team coming for the collapse, and Vivo Kid are falling like flies. This is the power of WRL being in full demonstration from J-Team.
And now they can look to go back and go towards the Baron if they want to. They are quite low on health, so they do need to be a little bit careful. But look, again, they're not going to take the risk. Again, it's them little bits of plays, a little bit of mistakes from Vivo Kid, whether it's an overstep, whether it's them trying to get vision, and then J-Team just pounce on that mistake, and they just say, okay, we're going to go in, we're going to use our engages, and we're going to get the kills. And again, they're just not taking the objectives.
And this is the second time that Vivo Kid in this series look for a 4-man, 5-man stack ambush play. But once again, it is on Dawn. And it's just so hard to lock him down, and it's so dangerous to try and make that pick onto something like a Wukong, who can immediately turn around the momentum of the fight in an instant.
Exactly, you can just use Cyclone, you can just use the invisibility as well, and Lord, this is a fight!
Oh my god! Cherry with a roundhouse kick squashes Lord flat. The bug's gone. Vivo Kid are on their last legs.
6-1 and 6 for Cherry on this Lee Sin pick, and you know, he's played Kha'Zix, he's played Olaf, these are 2 main champions, he shows he's had 2-man Shockwave as well, but the disengage is there. But look, Vivo Kid they can't even go towards the Elder. Lord is down, the Dragon is, the Jungler is down, and J-Team are just able to take this Elder Dragon really, really easy. And honestly, I don't find a way back for Vivo Kid.
Okay, Odysseus 1v1 against Dawn. Slash and Maynard here for reinforcements. Dawn will be traded out. DY is here for second wind here, looking for Odysseus burning down to ignite. He gets out alive, but Vivo Kid, you gotta deal with the members of J-Team who are pushing into the base. And DY, he doesn't care if he goes down. His main goal is preventing and stopping the recalls, and the damage has been done. J-Team take 2 inhibitors.
Yep, he's just worked as a distraction at that point. You know, distracting the Odysseus, distracting the Nami and Morgana, slash and Maynard as well. They're still up in this top side as well, slash and Maynard. And oh, they flashing in, but Barry's behind them.
Okay, DY goes down. But at what cost? They're able to get this turret, but Barry is here for reinforcements. Jerry coming in with the collapse. Mayna's got nowhere to run. That fish is dead, and Cherry is there once again. Sushi's up on the menu, boys.
Sushi is indeed up on the menu. They're going to try and look for more picks as well, but they could just turn towards the Baron. Again, they're just going to clear vision. They're not going to take any risk with this Baron because Lord is still alive. You know, even though J-Team are trying to get these picks in the enemy territory, I love how patient they are at the same time as well around these neutral objectives. They know that, you know, in Wild Rift, all it takes is just one little mistake. All it takes is one little Smite steal, one little Dragon or Baron steal or anything like that, and that could change the game completely. So again, they just look for deep vision control, and they got 2 inhibitors down now as well at the same time.
Yeah, and a big thing that we've been noticing here from Vivo Kid is Odysseus is just fully committed to the split push. Lord, this is difficult for Lord at this point.
That's a dead bug.
Odysseus,
Odysseus is still here.
he was running towards Odysseus, but Odysseus probably in comms like, no, don't bring it to me. I'm on one mission, and that is to take as many turns as possible. J-Team are easily able to pick up stragglers, and there's nothing that Vivo Key can do on the opposite side of the map. So Odysseus, in a 1v4, almost taking out D1 in the end. It's all for naught. Mana and Slash can't look to push back this Super Minion wave. Cherry is the one that is forcing them to retreat into their Nexus base.
And yeah, like you mentioned, Odysseus trying to go for the split push, and he's just getting caught over and over again. You know, he's trying to push so far, where J-Team are just like, okay, it's just a free kill at this point. But now, because Lord is down, they know that they can secure this Baron. And meanwhile, they can just get kills while they're taking Baron.
Yeah, their goal here at this point is to make sure that Vivo Key don't get a chance to walk up and contest any of the main neutral objectives. They don't even need their help of the rest of the teammates. They're handling 1v1s and 1v2s all by themselves. Triple for Barry. At this point, J-Team have all the tools necessary. Another roundhouse kick to the face. Lord gets exploded. And J-Team shows the strength of China on the international stage.
Doesn't matter if it's the first seed or even the 5th seed from China, you can see that this region is here to play. So well played by J-Team. They take down Vivo Key, and they will be able to play in that game very, very soon against T1 as well. It's going to be a bang.
I'm floored. J-Team, once again, we cannot reiterate enough that the fact that the 5th strongest team from China is still so dominant against one of the projected best teams from the West in Vivo Keys. I mean, we are just in for a hell of a tournament where all eyes are on the 4 teams from the WRL. J-Team, Nova Esports, JDG, and FunPlus Phoenix up in the group stage. I think the big mark for any team in the West, obviously, but also even some of the strongest teams from the WCK, from Southeast Asia, from Japan as well. Can someone take a game off of the WRL teams this tournament?
I think that's the big question, really, is that how do you take down China? That is the main question. You have to try something. You have to try something new or something crazy that maybe they haven't done, China not really prepared for. But at the same time, it's just really, really difficult to take down anyone from China. And it's a situation where I don't think anyone can take down China, whether it's the 5th or the 4th or the first seed.
Definitely, day 1 reactions of the play-in stage are super strong, obviously, but we still have 2 other groups to check out, one of them having the other team from the WRL and Nova Esports in Group A. We'll have to see if anyone, whether the Flash Wolves, Furious Gaming, or Game Lord, can stand up to Nova Esports in their own right, but just witnessing how fast and how quick on the trigger that J-Team and JDG have been, and it is absolutely marvelous. The fact that they're so fast in making plans and making decisions on the map and just forcing Western teams to react like that, it just goes to show that this is what we have to expect. And for the rest of the teams around the world looking to play against the WRL, you have to be quick to adapt. You have to be quick on the pace, and you have to match their tempo. Otherwise, you're going to get left behind here.
The aggression from J-Team, you can see their confidence as well. At the same time, they're able to just go to enemy territory, get that vision control, and one little misstep from Vivo Keed, and J-Team were just on it. They were on it like a flash. They were just engaging 5 members, and there was nothing really that Vivo Keed could do throughout the entire 2 games, really.
Yeah, awareness from J-Team top-notch, as well as JDG from earlier. Well played the J-Team for taking that series over Vivo Key. That does mean that in this group, T1 will be playing against J-Team. But for more on the series and the rest of the group implications, we got Kangas and the rest of the analyst desk.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Stuart. 2nd seed, 5th seed, 2 O's on the day. WRL undefeated. It's crazy.
And that's what we thought. Well, not what I thought. I said we, but I gotta be honest.
Just you.
I was jumping on a hype train of Vivo Kid, but I don't want to say they played badly because J-Team played incredible.
Yeah.
They were an incredible team, but I was a bit disappointed. I expected a little bit more from Vivo Kid.
And based on Rafa's reaction as well, the two of you are the big ones that were watching those games, and Vivo Kid had a chance. But Riku, 100% success rate on predictions on the day, so I got to give it to you. Break us down how JT was able to just dismantle Vivo Kid.
I think it's just a lot of the micro and macro gap. Again, we talked about how WRL is such a scary region in general. They went through so many stages. And speaking of stages, in the tournament, J-Team at one point has managed to get top 1, top 1 of the stages, 1 and 2 as well. So even though they're 5th place coming from the region, it still doesn't change the fact that they were top 1 at some point.
But Key did have the edge this game. Like, they did have the edge. They were winning early game, and you can see because of this dive right there, they did get a little bit of an advantage here because they got 2 kills on that Singed. And here it is. This is what I was going to talk about. Why did they not go in there? Why did they? Why did Key not start the Rift Herald? So the reason why they should have started, let me just quickly break it down. So the Orianna had an Archangel Staff. This is a late game item. When it doesn't go into a Seraph's Embrace yet, it only gives you like 50 or 60 AP, and it doesn't provide any value. It doesn't do anything.
Sure.
You're useless when you have that. They also had a Hole Breaker on the Chase. This means bad team fighter. Why does Keith not force a fight at the Rift Herald? Why don't they go in with that composition who have a Singed with a full item, Morgana with a full item, and all of them being ahead? Dusk Blade of Draktar on the Kazakhs. Instead, they just waited for it. They let it happen. And you know what's funny? If you actually look well,
keep going.
if you look well, Barry finally finished his Sapphire's Crystal, and then they go, or Seraph's Embrace, and then they go in. So they wait for him to get his power spike, and then they go in. Why do they wait? They should have gone in immediately.
I'm living for these Hell's breakdowns,
The reactions.
the mental breakdowns
I'm
of
sorry.
the play breakdown. But that's something that we know about VK from even their play in the Brazilian league. Sometimes they're slow to pull the trigger. Sometimes they're not always the ones that will set up for the objective correctly at the right time. And if you do that against a team like J-Team, who are so used to doing that from their region, if you don't act fast in the WRL, you're not even going to get top 5.
Yeah.
So J-Team, they just play such a faster game than VK were prepared for.
I know, the way that they, even though they have a lot of scaling, well, not a lot, we're looking at Orianna waiting to scale, and if ever Cherry and Pan get that early game, then that's the time they get to move around comfortably across the map. And that's a big contrast to what VK was trying to play, which is scaling Camille, scaling Kazakhs. And at that point, we talked about matching pace. If you don't have the damage output just yet at that point of the game, then you can't really match the walking pace or running pace that the WRL is doing.
We're talking about running. We're talking about fast pace as we get the live reaction from the fans right there. But let's be honest, both of these games over 20 minutes long. They weren't fast games. It felt like the plays were happening fast from J-Team because of the slow reactions from Vivo Kid, but J-Team wasn't closing these games super quick either. So, Hells, when we look at that, is this concerning from J-Team for the WRL?
Yes, the answer is yes. This is concerning because, like, I was rooting for Kid, but if you actually look at it objectively, J-Team should have won that in 15 minutes. Like, they should have won that much faster. And if you look at JDG, who's the number 2 team in China, they won both games in 15 minutes. That's how it should have gone, right? Like, there you can see the difference between the number 2 team in China and the number 5 team, right? Like, they're both really good, but JDG was able to much easily finish the game in 15 minutes when they had to. But then J-Team was struggling against a team who seemed much weaker than them, and it took 20 minutes to finish the game.
And what's exciting for me there is that their next opponent will be T1, who also had very long games against Rix. They went for these Elder Dragon fights in both of those games to close it out. If J-Team let T1 go 20 minutes like they let VK go 20 minutes, T1, first of all, I doubt that they're going to be 10,000 gold behind at that Elder Dragon fight, and we know that they're going to prioritize setting up those dragons. This is actually a really exciting matchup between Korea and China now.
Yeah, it's going to be definitely spicy because the longer the game progresses, you basically J-Team might enter, WCK territory, and they do not want
and that's
that
WCK's comfort zone.
Exactly.
That's where T1 wants to be. So as we look at the updated graphic right here, the bracket plays out. T1 and JT will go up against each other next. The winner of that best of 3 will qualify for the group stage. That will be played out next week. Rix versus Vivo Key. They have to play against each other now. Hells, how you feeling? These are your 2 babies.
Yeah.
I'm jumping trains. I'm not on the, I just don't feel like Keith could do it against Rix either. Like, Rix, you know, Rix lost today, but they were up against T1, and T1 felt incredibly powerful. And I feel Rix is a stronger team than Keith after seeing that performance. Because even if Keith has an advantage, it just doesn't seem like they can really take full advantage of them being ahead. Like, they were ahead in this game, but they didn't take advantage of it. And if you don't do that against Rix, you lose the game.
Yeah, it's another sample of if you don't match early, because we saw Rix incredibly strong with early games. So this is going to be another familiar scenario that, again, VK has to match.
I think both of those series from this group are actually going to be exciting. I'm sorry, Hells, I got to say it, that the two teams you predicted to win in this group did lose. So, and now you have to root for one of them against the other going forward. Everybody in chat, pour one out for Hells right now as the 50% successful analyst. I'll take 75. I'll take second place. But Riku, of course, with the big brain right here, actually predicting the correct teams.
I got a big heart at least.
A lot of fun games, though. For day one, like, they were all sweeps.
Yeah.
All 2-0s. Is that what you expected?
Yeah, I definitely, at least this last series, I was expecting it to go at least the third game, but there were a lot of dominating performances. It was, I guess, very clear. And we got, what, the very first kill and the very first quadra kill in Icons.
See, I actually had the T1 Rix game going 3.
Oh!
Yeah, I thought that one would go to 3 games as well. That was the one game that I thought
it was the closest series. Even though it was a 2-0 for T1, that one we saw a very close game between both of them. If we remember the gold grab, it was like the same in both games where Riggs had like a 2.5 to 3,000 gold lead and then lost it. It's like, what can you do?
Yeah, definitely right. Like that was really close, and I would have hoped the last one would have been close as well. Well, I thought that Keith would destroy them. At least hoped that it would have been a close game, and then Keith would. But Keith got destroyed. It is what it is. But this is still the beginning, right? Like, you're gonna have some really good teams against really bad teams. They're all good because they qualified, but it's gonna narrow down the later we get into this tournament, and that's also when the games are gonna start to get much closer and much more exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be more intense, right?
Yeah.
Because the double elimination bracket is just every single day, every single match is going to count.
And we talked about this bracket, of course, from Group C, but Group B also has a very exciting bracket going forward here. JDG versus RRQ. I want to give you a chance to talk about that one, Rico, because you've been geeking out about it backstage since the end of the Group B first matches there. Why are you so excited about this matchup?
Because, number one, it's RRQ representing the WCS and as well as the Philippines. Number two is that, calling back to what TJ has mentioned, you brought this up earlier, Kangas, is that, okay, the first layer for you to defeat, at least match the WRL teams, is to match them in their mechanics. And guess what? RRQ, I feel very confident in their mechanics against these Chinese teams. So I'm so excited how they can match JDG.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one too, because JDG looked watertight in that match. Like,
it's crazy.
Perfect, really. Like, I'm really excited to see how RRQ also looked like an incredible team.
Yeah.
See how they face up against it, because they had so many emotions as well. Like, that's what I really love, right? Like, they could have that emotional advantage. If they get the first blood, they all go like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
And they keep going, right? Like, while JDG felt more like a serious team, calm and collective, you know, playing it perfectly. So it's really like the calm and collective against the emotional team, right?
Yeah. Wow, with the battle cries and everything. Oh, so excited.
Well, that's what will happen going forward for the rest of the brackets. But again, just a celebration from the first day of Icons. I'm sad we didn't get a 3-game series, but it was still a long day. We still had a lot of games to go. So, yeah, overall, I'm ending this one with pretty high spirits. Some really good calls, too. What was your favorite call from the day so far, Riku?
What was my favorite call?
I think mine was a quadra kill. I actually liked Rafa's quadra kill call pretty well.
You know what my favorite call is? What's interesting is that the calls from RRQ, when they'd hype themselves up,
They were literally singing.
They were singing
Yeah,
at the beginning. They were doing this symbol, which meant, like, you know, it's supposed to be a heart, but it's burger. It's probably like a cute little inside joke that they
Looks
have.
like a burger.
It just
yeah.
looks like a burger.
Maybe they're hungry. I'm a little hungry too. So let's see if we can get going here, because I am hearing that Mika is ready with an interview from the winners of J Team. So Mika, take it away.
Thank you very much, guys. You're back here with me, Mika Fabs, and I'm chilling over here with the man with a pentakill. But now we have to introduce him as the man with the pentakill, because we have Pan over here from a J Team joining us for this quick interview. Thank you very much, Pan, for joining us. Of course, we have to talk about that moment with the pentakill, what was it like? What were the comms going on? Was the team going crazy for that moment? You got the first pentakill here at Icon.
首先要恭喜一下潘在第一局中获得的这个5连破。是要问一下你在获得5连破的时候，你们整个团队内发生了什么？然后有没有对你感到欢呼？
没有，我们队伍鸦雀无声，他们好像觉得应该拿这个5连破的。
We are all just keep calm because we think we should do that.
Wow. Well, of course, there's also a big roller coaster of emotions with J Team being the 5th seed out of WRL. And now, of course, you're here at Icons. Can you talk me through that moment wherein you guys thought you didn't qualify and then you qualified again? What was that like for you?
因为我们知道你们是以 WRL 赛区第五名种子晋级到这次的 Icons 的。那当时你们知道自己不能够拿下这个资格赛名额之后呢，又发现可以拿下这个资格赛的时候，心情是怎么样的？
心情还是有点开心吧。
没有了吗？只是有点
有起伏。
We just emotion like a roller coaster, and finally we can get there. We feel very lucky and happy for that.
Of course, treasure every moment now that you have your chance here at the Wild Rift Icons. Now, finally, do you feel any additional pressure given that the WRL teams seem to be the strongest contenders here, and all eyes seem to be on you guys?
就是这次来了之后，因为 WRL 赛区呢是这次最强的赛区嘛，所以大家都会把这个注意力放在你们的身上。对你们来讲，会不会有额外的一些压力呢？
我们应该没有吧 ？Nova、FP 他们压力应该大的吧
？I don't think so, because we are pretty easy than Nova. I think Nova got more pressure on them.
Wow, you guys are handling it well. You guys seem ready, of course, to conquer Icons. Pan, thank you very much and congratulations on your win. Back to you guys over at the analyst desk.
The confidence of a man who got a pentakill, and not necessarily popping off as much as I expected. A man who just got a pentakill.
Just an average day at the office. That's essentially what he said.
Yeah, like pretty normal.
It's all going according to plan.
Yeah, it's all according to plan.
But it's fantastic to be able to hear from the players that just got a chance to play, and the first pentakill in the books for Icons. With that said, though, that will wrap day number 1 for Icons coverage. So let's take a look at the schedule going forward so you can catch up on everything that is happening tomorrow. KDF versus Brew, FG versus Envy, Flash Wolves versus GLD, and there we go, NA, the first team,
Finally.
Sentinels versus Liberty. A lot of fun matches, as that will be groups A versus, or rather the matches in Group A and then also the matches in Group D to close out the day. That will be day number 2, everybody. That wraps day number 1 for your Icons coverage. Thank you to the amazing broadcast. Thank you to production, the players, and also everybody in Twitch chat cheering on your favorite teams. We'll be back with more Wild Rift Icons starting tomorrow. We'll see you there.